Danny, Eastleigh tomorrow then. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's a tough one because, I think from the outside, looking in now, a lot of people just think we're going to turn up and win games. And we have been doing that for the majority of the season, but believe me, there's a lot of hard work goes into those wins. There's a lot of homework on opposition, a lot of prep. And you're coming up against a team with a striker we know very well, top scorer by a mile in our league. Along with lad Quigley, Scott Quigley, who's very good at this level as well. They're physically the biggest team in the league, so they're a physical team, but they've got some good players within that. I think they've scored 50 goals, but I think they've conceded the most goals in the league. So as always, I'm sure they'll look at things they can punish us on within our setup, and we'll be looking to punish them in areas that we think we can hurt them. So long trip down there. Really will be a tough game. They've had a cracking run in the FA Cup and had a real feel-good factor around the place in recent weeks, although they're on a bit of a bad run in terms of league. But they're only a couple of wins off the playoffs, so I'm sure Richard and his staff will be getting them all geared up to try and cause an upset tomorrow.
Has it been nice to have a free week and not have a midweek game?
Yeah, it's been lovely. It's been lovely to get all the knocks and niggles out the way. A lot more work on the training ground, even though it's been quite relaxed in terms of the physical output, because obviously the boys are feeling the effects of a real hard schedule of Saturday, Tuesday, as are a lot of clubs, by the way. And come a week or two, we'll have all our games in hand up. So we want to make sure we capitalise in the next couple of games and get some more points on the board.
And it's of course back-to-back away games because you've got Dagenham on Tuesday as well. Will you be staying down there?
Yeah, we're staying down for a few days down south. We did it before Woking. Obviously, disappointing the result we had at Southend on the Saturday, but it worked out well. It got the lads together. The hierarchy here been great with things like that, backing us and enabling us to stay down for a few nights. So it's worked before. Hopefully, it works again. But this time, we want to get the Saturday result as a positive as well as a Tuesday, unlike we did at Southend.
And you mentioned there that Eastleigh have been conceding quite a lot of goals. I think it's 8 in the last 2 games. Is that something that you'll be looking to exploit?
I think you're looking to exploit that, yeah. But, as much as I've said to you this year, Liam, that the team's changed most weeks, 1 or 2 bodies or even more. The philosophy hasn't. So our philosophy won't change. We go into every game looking to win it, whilst respecting the point. We do respect the point. But one of the reasons why we are doing so well this year so far is the lack of draws and more wins. If you look some of if you look at the league table and look at some of the draw numbers in the draw column, you see a couple of teams in and around us, they've won maybe 3 or 4 instead of drawn it. Everything's a lot closer up there. So we've got to make sure that we go with that same mindset we've had for every single game, even the games like Southend away or Altrincham where we didn't really play very well and got all we deserved. We still went with a mindset. Now whether that game plan and mindset comes off, only time will tell, but we're surely going down there to get 6 points out of 6, whilst knowing there'll be 2 very, very tough games.
And just on Paul McCallum, obviously he was on loan at us last season. Was there any sort of temptation to try and bring him back in, permanently, or was that something that you just couldn't agree on?
I think what was tough with the way the season ended and that, and it was very raw, very emotional. I think before you know it, players make other plans. I'm not saying that we would or wouldn't have kept Paul. I think, but once Will Grigg was available, I think that was a target for the manager and us. And that's nothing against Paul McCallum. That's just how football goes. And Paul obviously would have or didn't have any short. He wasn't short of offers. Sorry. He wasn't short of offers by any means, so I don't think it was a case of Paul really sort of being on the phone to us going, what do you want to do, what do you want to do, because he knew he had offers lined up. So I think it worked out quite well for both parties. Will Grigg and Joe Quigley have been excellent for us this season, and Paul McCallum's been excellent for Eastleigh. So some things happen for a reason.
I think he's got, was it 20, 25, 26 goals or something like that?
He's got 23 league goals, 23 league goals, I think,
Yeah, he's having a fantastic season. He is sort of surprised how well he's been doing.
No, he's done it for the last 8 or 9 years, isn't he, in this league? From his days at, I remember him from Leighton Orient in League Two, and then he dropped into non-league, Barnet, Eastleigh before, Solihull, ourselves. He's had some clubs, and every club he's got double figures every time he's been there. I think when he's in a team that really plays to his strengths, he will score goals. He will score goals, and I think people talk about spiritual homes and all those sort of cliches with footballers, but it does seem like Eastleigh somewhere which means a lot to him, and he means a lot to the club. So yeah, obviously after our game tomorrow, I hope he goes on to pick up all goal scoring awards because he's a lovely lad. But let's try and keep him quiet tomorrow because he's a really good player.
And of course, it was deadline day yesterday for EFL clubs and Premier League clubs. Were there any cheeky last-minute bids for any of your players, do you know? No,
there was no cheeky last-minute bids, Liam. I like the way you put the word cheeky in just to sort of soften the question a bit. No, as far as I'm aware, and there wasn't, no. I think all our players here, and like I always say to you, when you ask me about players, Liam, I can't physically speak for them, but I'll have a go. They all seem happy. They're all part of something that's hopefully going in the right direction. We've got packed out stadium every week with a town very passionate about the football club and the players that are representing them. So I don't think our players would really want to go anywhere at the moment. Really, I wouldn't if I was one of them. So what will be coming in the season and next season. But for the here and now, we're all on the same page. We're trying to achieve something, and long may that continue.
And I noticed that a lot of sort of National League clubs, particularly near the top, were bringing players in. But did you just do all your business in the summer? And I suppose it must be nice not to be sort of scrambling around for players to try and sort of save your season, if you like.
Exactly. Absolutely bang on, Liam. I think it shows we're in a good place where we're not having to scramble around. That's also due to the fact that we haven't had crippling injuries. We've got a couple out now, which is disappointing. But the light is in the tunnel for those specific lads, i.e. Frex and Ryan. So yeah, it's different sometimes. I think if you're in a team that's underperforming, you look to galvanise it with incomings. If you've got like a couple of seasons ago, you've got a team decimated by injuries, you have to go and galvanise it by lads who are fit. And fingers crossed, we haven't had to do either of those methods because we're doing okay. The injuries are to a minimum, form's good, and we're top of the league. So, no, you're right, Liam. That's nothing against other teams that have brought players in, because we've had a look who Eastleigh have brought in, and there's some very good players they brought in. So they'll be strong tomorrow. They'll be stronger because of those three players. So, yes, it hasn't been felt that we needed to do it, but for the other clubs that have done it, I've looked at who they've signed, and I certainly will make them better teams.
Is there any chance that Ryan Colcliffe or Miguel Freckleton will be available for selection tomorrow?
No. Frex is hoping really to get back on the grass next week. Ryan Colcliffe, we initially said we were probably being quite optimistic about let's get him back for Eastleigh. It's going to be a game or two too soon, sadly.
And is there an update on Ash Palmer as well?
Yeah, Ash Palmer has been training all week and he is fit for selection.